This will probably be one of my most underrated videos, but baby, I am dropping some gems with this one. Howdy party people. Here we go. This is burnt sienna, and I have used it to make all of my colors. Now, the really dark burnt sienna, a little bit of oxide black was added to it. In every subsequent color, more Artist Law Flow White to get this lighter color, and just a few drops of the burnt sienna and the lightest brown mocha type of vibe that we're doing here. So I'm using my Fluid Art Co. spout cup. I love it. The paint peels really easily out of it if you let a medium layer of paint dry. And so I'm jumping right in. All of my paints are mixed 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint and then thinned with water. And I tell you this a lot, looks are deceiving on YouTube because this paint looks thick that I just poured out, but I'm going to show you the consistency in just a moment and you will see just how thin it is. So I am spreading this nice layer out, all right, because we need to make sure that our paint is going to flow. And then I'm using this same paint um, in my pour as well, okay? If you watch me recently, you know this is one of my favorite parts, spreading out that paint. And so now I'm adding some additional metallics. And so if you've seen my other videos with the 24 karat gold, you know how it kind of sits on top and creates some really cool reactions. So that is what we're going for here. And check out the consistency of my paints. Really, really thin. I also have a little secret. These paints right here, the metallics that we were just talking about, guess what? This is all just 24 karat gold. So all I have done is tinted the other colors with red and a little bit of orange, and then some oxide black to make the other colors. So the properties are nearly the same. Now I am pouring or dumping my colors down so that they mix together and thus help to create that hydrophobic effect with the more matte paints repelling from the glossier paints. So it's going to help that cell or cloud formation depending on your thoughts or preferences. And so this is my last color and it has the most amount of white in it. And I might have kind of messed up a little earlier and not told you that all of my paints are mixed with satin enamels and the Artist Law Flow White. There's a little more of the satin enamels in the lighter colors, but that is also creating that difference between the paints and the densities to help get that hydrophobic effect. And lastly, I'm just going to put my metallics on top. Remember, it helps create some cool reactions with the paint. They kind of float on top. So I want to see how these colors really mesh with my brown. And just a little of each color shall do. Really excited to see how this will turn out. I've never tried this many metallics in one painting, but in theory it should work because once again, these colors are all 24 karat gold, just tinted, and they are sitting on top. So they should still float like they have been in our other videos, hoping it gives a nice metallic sheen over our rings that we will make here in just a second. Now, where did I mess up? I should have mixed up more brown paint. So you will see that I only have a little bit of brown paint to sandwich all the colors in. And we'll see if that has an effect on our painting. So if you noticed, I did a lot of really small, tight rings. So we got a lot of layers here of color, and you can see that those metallics are just sitting slightly on top, and we're starting to get a reaction in our paints. And I'm just gonna do a little surgery and fixing the center. Y'all know how I do. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you why many of you all will not be successful in this technique. And this is not to discourage you, but to encourage you. You are not patient enough. You have to let your paints rest for a little bit and allow them to do their thing. And you have to tilt very, very slow. Now, check this. I didn't have enough brown paint to sandwich my colors in. So if I had put that brown in on top, a thicker layer, it would have come out and it would have forced more of my reaction towards the center of the painting. But I didn't have anything driving the rest of that paint down into the cup as I poured those lighter browns. So more of the reaction ended up on the outside of my painting, which is actually a really, really cool effect. And if you go back and study my other videos, you will see I've done things slightly different. You can really get some free game on mastering this technique and finding out what you truly like, what resonates with you in this technique. Like, no gimmicks, for real, for real. Just go back and watch all of my videos. They all have different outcomes. So I am slowly but surely tilting my painting here, spreading the paint, and then we're going to open up some of these rings. And right now, this is giving like a brownie, blondie, tree ring, frappuccino latte vibe. And I absolutely love it. Maybe I should do some more paintings using these earthy brown tones. All right, so I've sped this up just a little bit for the sake of time, but as you can see, I am starting to tilt my paints off, and we're really gonna open up these rings here. So you have to be really careful with your composition. And here's another pro tip, and I don't know why, but round and square canvases work so much better with um on this technique when you're learning it because your sides are more proportionate, so it's easier to kind of maneuver and manipulate the composition. When you have your rectangle canvas, it's like you don't have enough real estate for your paint to kind of move around. But I think that I did work this piece all right. And so as you see, I am going from side to side and then I am tilting that paint off. Voila. Look at, is that not just mesmerizing? Like, I love that the cells that are popping up are on the outside. I just think that adds a lot of depth and movement to the piece, but it's not overwhelming. And so now is when we play. And you just have to be really careful because there's always a reaction to every movement that you do. You just got to find what works best for you. And so I decided to tilt off some of that center because it is a large part of my composition, but I really want those rings with the clouds popping up to be a start of the show. And if you look closely, you can see my gorgeous shimmer with my metallics. And I bet when it dries, we will see gorgeous little rings of metallic all over our painting. This one might be worth a good coat of resin. What do you think in the comments? Should I resin it? And tell me, what would you name this piece? I'm really, really, really loving this. It's almost giving a 3D effect without the glasses. And I'm just taking it all in at the moment. I love the movement that we created on the right portion at the corners there. That really adds some nice motion and change in the composition. And I don't think we should see much more of the paint reacting. Um, I think it's pretty much done. So as long as nothing crazy happens, this is about how this piece should dry. You can see I was about to torch and I said, nah, play, I'm gonna leave it alone. But of course, here you go. Here's the close up. And once again, there are those metallics showing out. And remember, we got these really tight rings because I did really tight rings when I was pouring out my paint. So we got all these layers of paint and composition to play with. As always, family, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. And remember, do everything with love. Treat your friends, your family, and even your enemies with love. I will see you in another video very soon. Peace.